How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we're taking a look at the World of Tanks console news for February 16th until the 22nd. Also covers a little bit of extra stuff going past and the next couple of, in the next month anyway. We've got quite a few different things to look at today. Nothing massive in terms of game breaking or anything like that. But there are certainly a few things that we'll look at. We'll look at the bundles, obviously, again, determine whether they're good or not, like I did last week and the weeks before. We'll look at what the key cards are, what kind of special things you can get during this this update that's come out, and what you can kind of presume to get as part of this week's operations and stuff like that. So first things first, obviously the season is still going on for Winter Warriors. This is until the 9th of March, at which point it will get removed and we'll get a new season that will come out, and you can go up to level 100 again with some new tanks that will come into the game. Don't know what those are yet, but we'll get into that when nearer the time. Obviously it's like 3 weeks away at least before we'll even look at the new season. We've got the Winter Warriors tanks that are still in the bundles for you to pick up if you want them. Nothing too much. The key cards are in for, this is the last week that you'll get the current drop rates or the actual tanks that you can get out of the key cards. They kind of reset every kind of month, every 28 days or so, and they get changed into different types of tanks that you can get in the packages. The drops will change, so you might get a King Tiger out of these drops currently, but then they swap it out for another heavy tank at tier 8. It's that kind of thing. But you've got 1 week at the current list. If you want to have a look, just go to the console.worldoftanks.com website and go to this what's happening February 16th, and then go to the possible drops, which is here. We've got this tanker rewards. Can't really do very much. It's just basically you get put into a poll, or not a poll, but a kind of a list of players, and then they pick some random player who's been playing the game. It's kind of ranked by how much you've played in the last year. The best prize is for those who have played the most in the year, and it gets worse and worse as you go down in terms of the prizes that you get smaller. It's nothing you can really talk about in terms of gameplay, but it's basically you have the chance at getting a $10,000 setup for your gaming room. That's basically it. But they'll email you if you actually win this. So yeah. The next thing is obviously this Great Tank Pursuit is still going on and will go on until the 27th of April. So you've got 2.5 months still to be able to get 70 not consecutive, but 70 daily completions of the daily operation, which is get 250 XP 3 times per day. You have to do that 70 times, and then you'll unlock the M60 pattern 50 times for the light tank, I believe, and 60 times for the IS6, I believe, something like that. I did go over that in my previous video. It should be linked on screen now, so you can check that out later after this video if you want. But other than that, we'll move on. Now, the brand new things that have come in as part of this update are the Leading the Charge. This is an operation where you'll get a silver multiplier. It's kind of a daily operation. You get 5 completions per day, where you'll get an extra XP boost, an extra silver boost if you come top on XP in your battle. So if you come top on XP in your game, that will basically mean that you'll get an extra multiplier to your silver, so you earn more silver in the games that you play, and you can have 5 of those in total. If we look on the specific thing here, the specific article, you can see it lasts for a week, and so that means you get 7 lots of 5, lots of 25% silver. It's just an extra way of getting more silver per game for players that's kind of combating this whole silver drain and silver economy being so messed up in game, which has been a real problem for me. Stops you want to play any tech tree tanks because you literally just lose money every single game. Whether you fire premium or not, I've played the Foch line and it's been an absolute nightmare playing the tier 7 and the tier 8. Wouldn't recommend grinding any tech trees right now. Focus on to premium tanks basically again. I'm really hoping that they actually do try and sort that out as soon as possible. Then we'll move on to the Assignment Bravo. This is, or Assignment Delta even, my bad. Assignment Delta is the 4th operation or assignment that have come out where you can get certain rewards. If we have a look at the specific post for this, this lasts for 1 week and you have to get a set amount of XPs in order to be able to complete the operation. It's not a lot of XP. You're looking at 45,000, 55, you're looking at 60,000 XP in total. You'll earn 325,000 silver as part of this operation and a classified keycard. You've got from tiers 3 to 10, so you can play any tank to be able to get the 60,000 XP, and it's just available every single day for the week. So you literally have to get 60k XP in a week, which is super easy, especially if you do your double XPs. Which count towards this as well. So if you get a double times XP for your first win of the day, you will get that will count towards the 60,000 XP required for this operation, which is really nice. And you'll get it done really quickly. You'll get a classified key card, that of which you can potentially get a 10% chance to get a premium tank. I believe they go up to tier 8, but there's not that many tier 8s in there. I believe most of them are from tier 6, like tier 5 to tier 7, and then you've got one tier 8 or something like that as part of the premium tanks that you can get. I think that's kind of nice that they're giving us these operations, but I would rather they do like campaigns or something similar to PC, where they've got mission marathons. And I guess that these kind of are, but I'd like something where it's more focused on your gameplay. Like if you do more damage and stuff like that, you can get further on. Obviously, if they want to monetize it, then go ahead, because it is business after all. And if you want to pay to skip certain things like they did with the mercenaries, that'd be really nice. But just give us mission marathons. That's what I'd really like to see. Other than that, for the next week, we'll also get the M41D in the store still. That'll be for one more week. It's the premium light tank from the Chinese line. That's basically an M41 Walker Bulldog, similar to the tier 8 American light tank. It's just like a skinned Chinese version of it. It's a really good premium tank, and it earns quite a bit of money as well. So potentially you might want to pick it up, but it is quite a lot of gold, considering it's not really on discount. It's only sold at full price at the moment. Then we have the Tank and Commander XP boosters. These are being sold. I don't know that I like the whole selling XP boosters. I think you can monetize your game. It's a business after all, yet again. I don't think they should be pushing so much to get people to tier 10 so fast, and I don't like the prices of these. Paying 730 gold per per 5 times 6 Commander XP boosts is quite expensive. These are more worth it, I suppose, and they don't really break the game as much because it's just boosting new players' commanders up. But what I don't like is this whole times 5 tank XP boost, because what happens is a lot of newer players will be rushed up the tiers. They've not learnt the game, and they're getting faced up against players that have played for a long time, and it's not particularly fun when you just get taken out by players that just know the game better than you. It's not their fault for not knowing the game, but going up the tiers straight away is not always the best thing. Playing the lower tiers where you're coming up against similar skill people, or more often anyway, is something that I would recommend to newer players, and just keep low tiers, get your commanders up, and then kind of work your way up nicely. Don't try and boost your way to tier 10, because it just doesn't. It's not going to be fun for you. You won't have the commander XP, and you won't have like the skills and the equipment and the silver potentially to be able to buy all of the equipment that really makes your tank any good at tier 10, or at least competitive against other people. Other than that, that's the Tank Commander XP and boosters. Then we've got the 50% savings on all consumables. they've basically extended this for another week. It was meant to end today, but obviously they've still not sorted out the silver economy. I don't know whether what they're just doing is prolonging it so that we've earned enough silver to then have another month where you just lose a ton of silver, and then they'll bring back these operations. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but I am hoping that they kind of sort out what they're doing with the consumables and the silver economy really, really quickly, so that you're not losing 50k a game for firing no premium in a tech tree tank, because people just don't want to play tech tree tanks then. And then you have matchmaker problems where everyone's just playing premium tanks. I don't know. I think that needs to be addressed fairly quickly. Other than that, we have the bundles. We're going to look at which ones I think are the best and which ones I'd recommend for you to pick up in terms of this week. So first one is the Devastation. This is 13,000 gold pretty much. You get the Vindicator Charioteer, the HMH ISU 130, and the Audace Canon de Assaulto de 105. So that's just basically a 105 French TD, 400 alpha. Yeah, well, I think it might be slightly less than that, but I'm not a fan of this tank. It's got fairly weak armor. You get 390 alpha, vision range 360 at tier 8. I mean, it depends on how you like playing, but I wouldn't really recommend this tank. It's not got a turret, so it's a French TD with no turret. It's not particularly a great one. In my opinion, I mean, it's probably better than the Tech Tree tier 8, but then again, you want to be playing, when you're buying a premium tank, you want it to be actually really good, and this one probably isn't for most people. Then you've got the ISU 130. This is the tier 8 Russian TD, non-turreted. You do get like an interesting round where you get less penetration but more damage, and then you get HE obviously. So this tank's really good at tier 8 and tier 9, I suppose, because of the penetration, but then as soon as you meet tier 10s, you're going to be struggling a lot to pen anything. You do earn 160% silver, which is nice. But yet again, it's kind of a bundle that I wouldn't really recommend to new players. Charioteer isn't particularly a tank that many people are going to get along with. I think this isn't very new player friendly, and I wouldn't recommend it. If you're a bit more veteran and you like TDs, then go ahead. This is 65% off, and it's not that much. It's kind of the full price of just one of them. So yeah, it's kind of up to you at that point. But for new players, this one isn't the one I'd go for. Then we've got Decimation. This one definitely is not one I would ever recommend to anyone. This is kind of the dump of the week. One that I would never ever recommend. The Starkstritz farm, pretty terrible. Then we've got the T28 Concept, a really terrible tier 7 tank destroyer. And then the tier 8 Jagdtiger 8.8, which has been left so far behind that I would never recommend actually getting it. I would save your money and kind of move swiftly away from that. Definitely not one I would focus on if you're a new player at all. And even if you're an old player, you probably have some of these and you know exactly what I'm on about. Yeah, not one I would ever recommend, especially when you have to actually pay money for them. Definitely do not buy these ones. Then we've got the Domination Bundle. We've got the Patriot T26E5. This is a good tank. The T54E2, another really good tank. And then the Scourge Kirovets, which is another good tank. If you're into your heavy tanks that have good guns, then I would recommend it because the Patriot and the T54E2 are really good and their guns are good. Then we have the Scourge, which is an IS3 with a flat hull armor, so you can angle a little bit better in this thing. I think for most people this thing could be good, but yeah, it's really all about whether you like heavy tanks or not, because this is a pure heavy tank kind of line or ones. These two are quite fast, so they're faster heavy tanks, and you might be able, well, they're all fairly fast for heavy tanks, but yeah, this is kind of a good bundle for those of you who are experienced in heavy tanks. Then moving on to a good one, I guess. I mean, it's only because it's got the Rheinmetall Scorpion G in it, which is, blatantly overpowered, to be honest. Or at least it's so strong in this meta, and for tier 8, it's literally so good. And then we've got the Slayer, particularly not a great tank in my opinion. It's an SU-152. The SU-152 is not particularly a good tank. I mean, yes, you get 700 alpha, but you could play a Dreadnought. It only earns 135% silver, so it's not going to earn you that much money. In order to actually have good games, you're going to be firing heat, which is going to cost you more silver. Probably not one I would recommend for people who want to keep their sanity. The SU's fairly slow at turning as well. Then we've got the Yahtzee, or the Yazi. Not entirely sure how you pronounce that, but this one's actually fairly decent. 440 alpha, really good pen for tier 8. It's actually not too bad. Good traverse speed. You're going to be able to actually turn fairly fast. It can go 50 kilometers an hour. This one's interesting if you like the tier 7, the SU-12244. It's very similar kind of playstyle. So I think this bundle's good for those of you who do like your tank destroyers, and if you've played similar sort of tanks like the Borsig. It's basically a really fast Borsig, slightly bigger. You're going to have a little worse camo, but this thing is just better because of the mobility. You're able to move around the map so quick. This one got good alpha, tier 7, it's worse than the Dreadnought. Mobility is a bit poor, traverse is a bit poor, not particularly that good. And then we've got this one, which is actually really quite nice, and I think I'd like to pick that one up, but I'm not entirely sure. I would want this whole bundle because there's just better ones like this one, considering the price tag. Then we have Force Multipliers. What do I think of this? This one, probably not a bundle I'd want to pick up. I mean, it's a cheap man's bundle, 8,000 gold for 3 premiums, 2 tier 8s and 1 tier 7. They're all light tanks. The Holland Hund is a good kind of really fast medium. It's like a light medium hybrid because it's so big. It's particularly not that fast at getting up to top speed. Its acceleration is a bit slow. It's boxy. It's got a good gun, really good gun. But yeah, I don't think it's particularly one I'd pick up myself. Then we've got the AMX 1357. This is kind of a pea shooter gun, like rapid fire. It's not particularly that overpowered or forgiving for anyone that hasn't played autoloaders before or that hasn't played light tanks. Both of these tanks are pretty bang average / fairly weak in terms of light tanks. Yeah, not a bundle I would really recommend that much. But if you want to pick up 3 light tanks from tier 7 and tier 8, then yeah, this one's it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but certainly isn't the best light tanks of that tier. And then finally, we've got the 2020 Rewind Spot and Support. This is probably one I'd be most likely to pick up because of this bad boy here, the Equalizer M53 Artillery. I do like playing light tanks too, and that's the Senlac, otherwise known as the Becky Lynch as well. That's the variant of the Senlac, and the Hawk 30. This is a nice German tier 8 light tank as well. I haven't got any of these tanks, but they are really, really good from what I've seen in game. Equalizer being stupidly broken, autoloading artillery is always disgusting. Not very nice to play against. I really didn't like the fact that even became a tank, to be honest with you. This bundle, decent, quite expensive though, and the only one I particularly would like to try is the Equalizer, and the Senlac's nice. Hawk 30 is decent, but yeah, it's not the best light tank. It's quite boxy. Yet again, it's a big light tank. It's an alright bundle, but I wouldn't go rushing out to buy it yourself. And then obviously, as part of this whole bundles, you can just buy the tanks on their own separately for 30% off. It says 15% off, but in Garage it's been 30% for some reason. I don't know if that's just either they've got it wrong in the game or that they've got it wrong on the website, but that's been common. It's been fairly decent for those of you who've wanted to pick it up in game. I think it might be a bug or something like that, but they have been more discounted than I originally thought. So yeah, just check that when you go in game. If they're 30% off, it's worth getting. If they're 15%, then definitely probably avoid them, because you can pick them up fairly often throughout the year, where they sell them in the kind of other bundles and stuff like that, where 15% off, you can spend an extra 2,000 gold and get 2 extra premium tanks. So don't bother if it's 15, but if it is 30, then potentially pick up the Rheinmetall Scorpion G. Then you've got a few other things like the T54E2 heavy tank. What else is there? There's obviously the equalizer, and you've got things like the Scourge and those heavy tanks that I mentioned earlier. And then finally, we've got the weekly deals and also the personal offers that we'll go over for this week as well. First one, I really like the Minuteman. This is an absolutely broken tier 7. I literally don't get how they implemented this. What they did is just got a T29, decided that spaced armor is the way to go, and just slapped spaced all over this tank. Absolutely broken in the side. It's very difficult to pen in the side. It's actually got armor that works. It's got a 105mm gun, so you're going to be doing 320 alpha, 390 to anyone that comes up against you. An absolutely fantastic tier 7 heavy tank, and definitely worth picking up for 3,600 if you've got it lying around. Or if you want to pay, I think it's £10 to be able to get this tank, then it's definitely one that's really good. I don't know what the silver earn is like on it, but we'll have a look real quick. So yeah, you earn 135% silver. You should be able to have some absolutely broken games in this. It's 320 alpha even, so I was right to begin with. 1200 hit points is good for tier 7. A really good gun. Fairly low DPM though, so do be aware of that. You want all of the rate of fire buffs possible for this tank, because you're going to be probably looking at around 1400 DPM at tier 7, which is alright, but you will get farmed by medium tanks if you miss your shots. And then the second one is the Atomic Centurion, the tier 8 British medium tank. What do I think of this tank? I think it's okay. I don't think it's particularly overpowered. It's just a Centurion, realistically. I think if you like your Centurions and your British tanks, then this one might be one for you to pick up. I prefer the FV4202P though, just because I think it will be better. This one's got a good turret, so you've got 254mm of frontal turret armour. It can go 50 kilometers an hour, and you've got fairly good DPM too. So, it's definitely there for those of you to pick up. But out of the two weekly deals, then the Minuteman is 100% my favourite for this week, and actually overall would be my favourite for the whole week in terms of a tank to pick up. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on that. We've got some update rundown streams that will be tonight at 8 o'clock UTC, so that's GMT for those of you who don't know. So 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, which is probably 2 o'clock American or Eastern Time, and then 12 o'clock Pacific, I believe, something like that. But you should know to be able to convert from this, hopefully. It's 8 o'clock British time. And then we've got the community update stream, which is later on. I think this is on Sunday. And you can have a look at, or on Wednesday even, and you can have a look at that. And then we've got Minto Vimto's insider information, which is on Monday evening, I believe, the 22nd. So that's Monday evening at 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock. So you'll be able to have a look at what's kind of coming next week as well. Other than that, we will move on to the forums to just check the final couple of things that we have on the update preview, and that is in terms of personal offers and what you can see this week. So the final ones are the HMH AMX MLE 58. This is a really good tank, tier 8 French heavy tank. Yeah, it's a decent one. It's got kind of good armour, essentially. It's got a good gun. Do I think it's super overpowered? No. Do I think it's better than a Defender? No. Do I think it's... Well, it hasn't got an autoloader, so it's kind of just like a tech tree French heavy that's slightly better. Yeah, I don't know that I would pick it up. It's quite expensive as well, so yeah, probably not the ones out of these that I'd pick up. Then we've got the Diamondback Mark 1. This is a really good TD. Yeah, it's basically a British tank destroyer that can actually use armour rather than the tech tree ones. Yet again, seems to be a feature where the premiums are just better than tech tree tanks. I don't know why that would be. But yeah, if you want a better tier 8 British tank destroyer, then this one is definitely the one for you. Its armour actually works. And then we've got the LT432, the tier 8 Russian light tank that I really want to pick up and probably will do as soon as this comes out in the game. So yeah, this one I looked at last week as part of my light tanks overpowered kind of series thing. Yeah, I'm going to pick that up, I think, considering it'll be really cheap as well. Other than that, I hope you guys have had kind of found this informative anyway and enjoyed it. I hope that it's kind of given you some ideas as to which the better bundles are in this kind of lineup of tanks, and I hope that you've learnt a little bit. Feel free to leave your comments as to the premium bundles and what you think this week's going to be like. Yeah, let me know what you think, and then we'll go over it in the comment section, discussion, etc. If you want to check out some other videos that I've done, I've got a few that are on screen right now that you can click, and obviously there's that one I mentioned earlier. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I hope that you'll see another video of mine very soon, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.